I feel like it's almost cliche now that we always open when you're here talking about how much has happened. But today, I mean, again, you have a show. Not even a little bit more than an hour from now.
Yep.
And things we found out in just the last couple hours. Mike Pompeo was on that call. Rudy Giuliani's been subpoenaed by 3 different committees. And supposedly, Donald Trump asked Australia, the Australian Prime Minister, to help coordinate with AG Barr in investigating the beginnings of the Mueller investigation.
Correct.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, it is really... The last week has been pretty nuts. And I think, you think about politics and crises and moments of sort of kinetic dynamism. And, there's this idea that things happen in a linear fashion, like you're painting a room, And when you're painting a room, you always know where you are and how much left to go. But it's a lot more like a stuck lid jar, right? Like you sort of go at it, it pops off. And when you look at sort of these moments in history, whether it's Watergate, whether it's just reading history of other countries and other times, like things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than you could imagine.
Right. And now it does seem like it's happening very quickly. You kind of called this last time you were here. You had a nice analogy to Oedipus that I want to show because it does feel like what you were saying was going to happen happened. Let's take a look.
The case is very strong, and the politics are very strong, and you've got the Democratic leadership like holding back the reins. And the whole thing feels like a Greek play in Act 2, where it's like Oedipus is going to end up with his mom.
And now it seems like it's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, from the moment this Congress took over, it felt kind of faded in a way, right? And partly that's because of primarily it's because of the behavior of this president, the way he conducts himself, the manifest lawlessness with which he stewards the nation's affairs, or stewards his own affairs, which he can't distinguish between, and the fact that the Congress was elected to sort of provide some kind of oversight. And those two things seemed on a collision course from the first day. And it was a collision that I think Nancy Pelosi desperately wanted to avoid.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it became unavoidable in the last 7 days.
Obviously, and I want to talk about a Republican reaction to this, but you mentioned Nancy Pelosi, and it did seem as though what has happened in this last week is this sort of newly elected moderate Democrats from sort of swing districts, a lot of whom have backgrounds in national security. They seem to be the ones who have been the final step, the sort of tipping point elected officials.
Yeah, and I think that, there's about 40 or so that came out in a big chunk after the call notes were released. And I think there's a few things going on there. One, the facts are just indefensible. So I think there's actually just a first order substantive belief by a lot of them, like this is impeachable conduct and we have to say so, or at least it merits an inquiry. And then the second thing is, the theory of the case was we're going to beat this guy at the ballot box in 2020. If he's running around the world rigging the election, then you might have a harder time beating him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not a retrospective investigation to what happened in 2016. It's some kind of deterrent effect on what he might get up to in 2020. And I think that just the clarity of that in that moment when people said to themselves, well, what exactly is he doing on these phone calls? What does he say to Mohammed bin Salman when he calls him up? What does he say to Vladimir Putin? What does he say to other folks about how they can help him win 2020?
Right.
That got people really to understand that the stakes were very, very clear and present in front of them.
And I think one thing we can all take away is he's never had a phone call in his life where it hasn't been about what can you do for me.
Exactly.
He's never picked up the phone and started with how are you?
Right,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Or about U.S. policy. I mean, that's part
Yeah.
of what's so striking about those call notes. There's nothing in the call notes about U.S. policy towards Ukraine.
Right.
The Ukrainian side has all sorts of policy objections. We need more money and we need more javelins. Please send us those arms. We're psyched to buy some more oil from you.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's like, yeah. Here's what I need from you.
Right, yeah.
As Donald Trump. And that's, to me, the kind of fundamental sin here, is that the man who is tasked with representing all of us as a public representative of the American body politic cannot constitutionally conceive of himself other than self-interest.